Now to something completely different, I would say. Thank you for the introduction. I am going to present a little project. It's really from an industry perspective, from an applications perspective. It's my experiences, my learnings, and it's not the big picture as the panelists have discussed before. But, well, let's go ahead. So I work for a company that actually celebrated its 350th anniversary this year. So we are the oldest pharmaceutical and chemical company in the world. 15 billion in sales, 53,000 employees worldwide, 66 countries. We are in the DAX, but we are also family-owned. That's very special there. So we're not only driven by the numbers, but also by ethical standards. At least that's what the family claims and also does. And yeah, back in 2015, we had a rebrand. And it's been the biggest rebrand in the company's history. Before 2015, we looked like this. So this is an excerpt from our branding guidelines. So very pale, very classical, almost like you would expect any other pharmaceutical company to present themselves. And after 2015, we looked like this. And you see maybe slight differences in the way we looked. And basically this was because the company had changed fundamentally in the past decade. So they had really changed from being this classical mid-sized German pharmaceutical and chemical company to becoming a science and technology company. All of our businesses had changed. The portfolio had changed. There had been divestments and investments for more than 40 billion in sales. So there have been major restructurings all over the place. The company was just very different from how it used to be before, and also their idea of how they wanted to go ahead changed and was very different. And this needed to be communicated to the outside world. Yeah, as I said, vibrant science and technology was the core, but also to our internal employees. As there is with any change, they're skeptics, as you see here. This is from the day we launched the new identity. And yeah, to some of our employees, it came basically as a shock. Yeah? They didn't know what to expect, and they also didn't have this vision and this idea of what does it mean for me? How do we move towards the future? How should I behave? What will change? And our challenge from my department was to bring them all on board, to take them on this journey, to engage them with the brand, to make this really happen. Because a brand is not created in the ivory tower of group headquarters, but it's basically lived by the people of the company. So our task was to bring all these people on board, to take them with us, to inform them. And of course, we did all the classical stuff. Yeah, we did Q&As, we did an intranet room, we did brochures, we did flyers, we did events. We had a speech from our CEO, and so on and so forth. But we felt like if we have this vision of being this future-oriented company, we have to give them something that they can really experience what we mean by that it's really also touching them on an emotional level. And we found that VR was the right tool to, well, tell the brand story, bring across this idea of becoming a vibrant science and technology company, and really creating this unique brand experience. And most of you might know this quote. It's from Marshall McLuhan, "The medium is the message." So it's really, we can say 100 times that it's all about technology when you have a printed flyer handing out. So it's really, really about this experience. So we jumped into this project. We mandated an agency. We started to work with them, and we found that working on this project, working with VR, there were really challenges due to the fact that it's well, it's still a quite new technology. So it's not that there have been established standards in how to do such a project with a major company. And for us, the major challenges was really how do we actually create an artificial, three-dimensional world that represents the brand. So before, when you've always been doing everything in 2D, maybe digital, of course we've been doing digital stuff, but not in 3D. So there were a lot of questions we had to discuss there. One of the major challenges from my perspective was really how do we combine content, storytelling, design, the immersion, the interaction. How do we combine that in a story that really makes sense to a user? There are a lot of great things you can do, but from a communication standpoint, this was really challenging. And as our company is, well, pretty big, we have a pretty broad spread of employees. It's almost like a picture of society. So we really needed to make the usability as easy as possible because we knew there were people who would not have the experience with that technology. So our approach was to create this VR dome I have been talking about, and I'd like to show you a short video to give you an impression how that actually works. So,
Vibrant science and technology is the bedrock of our identity. In a unique approach to implementing our positioning, we launched Virtual Reality Branding Dome. Behind the VR headsets awaits a multi-sensory experience. Mobile VR stations open up a world of cells, strings, and microbes. Interactive 360-degree experiences inspired by shapes and forms found under the microscope in science and nature. The best way to understand Driven by Curiosity is riding our Curiosity Coaster. By touching the company's key messages with your own two hands, they become more than just words. Our ideas waiting to be explored in a playful mode. Feel free to touch microbes. Feel free to get creative. Be amazed. Be moved. Try your hands. Virtual Reality Branding Dome. Fascinating technology for a vibrant company.
Okay, so basically that's the structure, how we build it. So we have this dome, you enter this artificial world, and then you have kind of 3 different levels that you can dive into. And the idea was really always to combine the content of the brand, the messages of the brand, with different multisensory experiences. So the first one, the Curiosity Coaster, is basically an interactive infographic. So we did a study on curiosity in the workplace globally, and you ride this coaster, and by riding this coaster you can get those different information that we collected with the report. World of Strings is really people meet our company and brand messages and have the possibility to interact with different media from our brand. And Box of Ideas is where we tell tiny bits and stories of our company throughout the 3 businesses, and people can again interact and touch the elements of the corporate design. Here are some stills that I'd like to share, how the dome looks. So this little yellow thing in the right corner, that's basically the body that accompanies the person through this journey. It gives the introduction, also tells them really what to do with respect to the usability. And these are just a few impressions, how the coaster works, how you dive through. And you see that it's a really completely artificial world that has been created only for this VR experience. So now, what's the use case? How do we actually work with it? How do we go with this VR experiences? We basically have created 4 of those stations. One is in the US, and there it is shared between our 3 businesses. Two are in Darmstadt, where they're used for internal and external events, so for events with our employees, but also when politicians come, other important people come, it's used there. And we have one only for the purpose of HR events. So people take, our HR department owns it, they take it to recruiting events, show it there, and we've recently done a survey on how these things worked out for them, and they said it's really a major differentiator when they go to those recruiting events, because basically no one else has something like this, and it draws a lot of attention and attracts a lot of people, and even before employees join our company, it really gives the sense of vibrant science and technology. As I said before, for external events, for PR purposes, we use it as well. This is Brigitte Zypris, former Minister of Economy. On the right, you also see our CEO, Stefan Oschmann, another member of the board on the left. And also for this purpose, it serves really well at the moment. We've surveyed our users, how they liked it. We asked 100 people that taken the ride, if you want to say so, and these are the impressions that they had. So there's a big enthusiasm among the people that do it. For two-thirds of the people that went on our VR station, it was the first time ever. So I think there's still a lot of potential to use VR to surprise people, even if it's a widespread technology already. People out there, there's a lot of them who have had no experiences with that so far. To our learnings and the research that we're doing, I think there's basically two levels of learnings. One is regarding our users, and I said this before. My experience is that VR is still unfamiliar to many. So we have many people who come there, who sit down on the station, who are completely blown away, completely overwhelmed. They really don't know what to do. And we usually have a person standing next to this VR station telling them what to do and guiding them through the experience. And it's really like the experience says, hey, put your hand up. And this person says, you know what, the experience says, put your hand up. So what about putting your hands up? Because the people sitting there are just, they're so overwhelmed that sometimes they really are not even able to fully interact with very, very simple things. That also leads to another conclusion regarding the pace. So it's really, don't rush. People still really need their time to delve into this experience, to get used to that. Some get sick. That's probably pretty normal, but yeah, that's my experience. And also, it's really about simplifying. There's some people, of course, who are used to it, who can do it pretty easy. But if you also want to take maybe older people on board, it's not such an easy ride for them. From a project perspective, I think there's also a lot of learnings. I said this before. I think VR as a medium is actually highly complex, because you need to bring all those different people on board. You have to have great story, you have to have great sound, you have to have great design, you have to have great usability and IT. When we did this project in 2016, that was really not an easy thing to steer. And I think everyone who's maybe thinking about creating such an experience needs to be aware of that. Also, I think I've seen a lot of projects that maybe had great design, but not so great content, that had a great or fun stuff, but there was basically nothing behind. Or that was a lot of purpose in the experience created, but it looked pretty crappy. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity to balance this complexity out. Experience versus content. I had the impression that sometimes people tend to get taken away by all the opportunities that VR actually serves, and they forget about creating a great story and great content. Because, oh, we can do this and we can do that, and that's so much fun, and I really want to try out this one. So I think this is also something one really needs to think carefully about when jumping in such a project. And also maintenance and support. In theory, this is all scalable and very easy, and one can do a lot of things with it. But from my experience, it's not so easy. So technology somehow is unpredictable. Any new thing, any update lets your whole station crash, and all of these things are really with an intense work to do. So if you're an agency, for example, it's really think about a maintenance concept before, offer that to your client. And if you're a company, again, think about the maintenance before, get your IT department on board. Otherwise, it's a real hassle in the long term. We're also doing research on VR. We teamed up with the International School of Management in Frankfurt. Irena is sitting over there, is currently researching actually on the impact VR has as a medium compared to other media which are trying to engage people with the brand. So if anyone is interested in what kind of impact this as a medium has, Irina is sitting over there, and I'm sure she's happy to share some of her thoughts and experiences. And basically, this was our small project, my small story, and if you have questions, please go ahead and ask them.
Thank you.